Absolutely. All right. Time to get into our last one of the night, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a lot of fun. Last series will be Royal Flush versus Amalbella. Royal Flush has been around. Royal Flush is in fact the tournament host, the one that sets up Summer Cup year in and year out. Started it 6 years ago, I believe, and is obviously competing in it as well, because why wouldn't you?
Yeah, why not? Why not? I mean, if you're going to go to all that trouble, of course you'd at least play, and actually has fared moderately well. There was no third place game in 2013 when this started. They never got around to playing the third, fourth place match. There weren't prizes at the time, so it was just for fun, really. But Royal Flush would have been in that third place match with Moriarty, so is no stranger to the top of the Summer Cup.
Absolutely not. Of course, Royal Flush competing in gold in this season of SCL4. Unfortunately, didn't have the best of showings. A really tough division, honestly, to be in. And now Royal Flush will be defending himself in a hazard match later on in the season against Sharper, and then potentially against one of the upcoming silver players, being Yerindor Woda. And I don't envy his position. Both those players very good. But here in the Summer Cup, inside a group with, well, I would say, very tough opponents. You have Amalbella, a challenger player, finished pretty high up, 14th position after all. Pretty good stuff. Then you have Catnip, who finished third in bronze in SCL regular season.
Very close third, yeah.
Yeah, very close third as well. Was narrowly beat off by Jayadi for the final championship spot. And then last in the group, but definitely not least, is Ryu, who also joined SCL season very late, I think in week 7, but won every game, played 4 games, won every game, currently ranked 30th on the SCL ladder, and is now playing in the single elimination to potentially go deeper. Could cause some upsets against some of the higher seeds for sure.
Yeah, definitely wild card potential there, joining late but winning every time they played.
That's pretty impressive stuff. This game is going to be up against Amalbella, of course, heading back over to Ballroom to kick off our final game of tonight. It is, of course, Royal Flush, the tournament host, I should say. I said hostess because Alice is the spy. Ooh, excited dogs. That means that I'm going to be solo casting for just a little bit. I know what that means.
Oh, no, I'm good. He's
good.
all calm.
There you go.
He gets as hyped about these casts as anyone else.
I mean, they're pretty exciting stuff. Let's get it underway, though. Royal Flush versus Amalbella in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Royal Flush, not just the tournament director. Well, you mentioned having a little trouble in gold this year. One of the reasons, a little distracted, going into game development, developing a puzzle game called The Jigsaw House. Looks very promising. I'm certainly going to be checking it out, so I'll plug it for him there, too.
Yeah, I do believe that Summer Cup is sponsored by The Jigsaw House as well, of course. So definitely check out his game. I'm sure he'll give you a link if you ask nicely for it. And yeah, it's the reason we have prizes this year, so pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, and we mentioned earlier, change of pace from the SCL. Very nice to have that, and it's all thanks to him.
And Kaylee, and I want to say DBD as well, but maybe it's BRS Kayla. I don't want to be too sure, but the prize has definitely been... yeah, it's BRS Kayla and Kaylee have both come in with some extra donations as well, making sure that...
Very generous of all of them.
For sure. Here we are on Ballroom. A 34% flirt and a contact has been completed. We have 5 lowlights already, but no highlights.
It's pretty significant at this stage in the game.
Means that whoever goes to statues next is going to be the most suspicious target for sure.
Just by process of elimination, I guess so, yeah.
Unless they're lowlights. Salmon and Teal, I'm looking at you over there.
Yeah, that's really brutal when you get those early lowlights and you realize they were going to be statue highlights.
Nothing you could do. 85%. Let's see what Royal Flush wants to do. Looks like we're going to be the suspicious one. Over towards the side statue to pick up a couple of inspects here.
And this is late enough in the game that I wonder about the side statue visit unless you're planning to combine it with something else later.
Two inspects. Royal Flush waiting for the animation cycle to pop it back down. Only one more flirt needed onto our seduction target Pearl here. In a position where potentially if the ambassador walks around we can bug. Let's see if that does happen.
It's a very good position, yeah. But there's so much suspicion there. The guest list is right there. That's a full conversation. A lot going on.
Amalbella,
a lot of attention.
Showing a lot of respect to the potential as well. Oh, we go for the bug right around the ambassador and it connects as well. And
I don't think we're
Amalbella
seeing.
is staring the purloin down. This is a free...
Well, it was on screen, zoomed in just after it. Could have seen it before the zoom, but I think at that point they'd already decided to. And what happens when you zoom in to look at the guest list? Your eyes go there just a second before your mouse does.
Holy moly. Here comes Royal Flush for the side statue inspect at 30 seconds into the game. A miracle shot if Amalbella was to indeed go for it. The inspect is done. Royal Flush looks like he may have just got away with this one. 3, 2. Oh no, we're just rotating for Purloin. Getting my heart rate up. Spy wins for Royal Flush.
Well, so usually the laser movement's kind of incidental, but I think we've all had that during the mission win countdown. If the laser comes anywhere near you in those last few seconds, your heart skips a beat or two. I think at that point, the only way Royal Flush was going to lose that game after getting away with the bug was, again, desperation shot, just the timing of the statue visit. But bug leaves no trace, so you don't know you have to take a Hail Mary shot. Just a really good bug with really good timing.
Banana bread.
I am surprised that Royal Flush decided to fake contact right at the start of the game. There was no flirt, so really was just a case of, hey, look, this is everyone in one conversation. These are your suspects. Look at them, not me.
Yeah, that fits pretty well.
Banana
and
bread.
you know, sometimes that's all it takes. Bugs, that's the thing about bugs. They're so quick. It's maybe the most elegant mission in the game because it happens and it's gone. It's this transient moment in time. There's no trace of it whatsoever. If you catch it in the moment, you've got him dead to rights. But if you don't, it's like it never happened.
Yeah, absolutely. Amalbella stepping into ballroom as Kane. If you look at this starting position, that's screaming bug to anyone. Yeah, it does have a drink in hand, so it would have to be a non-Kane arm bug. Let's see what happens in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Even staring him down, but no, not meant to be.
Potentially for the best.
I think so, with the drink, yeah.
Let's get rid of that very quickly. We do break etiquette to do so, and stepping out of the conversation much quicker than most Kanes would. Kane, fun trivia, has one of the longest idle animations in the game. In conversation.
Yeah, I think breaks etiquette twice with the timing of the sip and the early leave, yeah?
Yeah, both times.
2 for 1.
But Royal Flush seemingly not too worried about it, which is fair enough. There's only a handful of snipers that you do have to be pretty careful with when it comes to this. We get 50% flirt, 2 inspects here. It's relatively good progress.
It's not bad. Those early green flirts, they really ripple throughout a game. They make it much easier to plan what you're going to do. When you get to a situation where you're not sure if you're going to need 2 flirts or 3, you have to plan. Your plans have to be variable, right? You have to say, I need to leave enough time for the possibility of a 3 flirt or even a 4 flirt if it goes really badly, or a bail or something like that. So your plans need to be broader, or else you box yourself into a corner.
Amalbella not getting any luck with the seduction target. Even the double agent doesn't want to be near him, bailing the conversation. Currently staring down Rocker. Really do want to get another flirt going soon. Early progress can obviously be hindered by lack of that in the mid-game. But a big green flirt here means that we've got that one done. That's really nice stuff.
Yeah, as obvious as that chase might have looked, it's worth it to be done with it, especially because you don't need to be near them ever again now.
Gonna step into the conversation with the double agent here. Looks pretty good to us to potentially go for a contact. There's a lot of people in conversations. What we don't know, General, the suspected double agent is not.
Not only that, but Rocker took an interesting bug path when the Amber was at statues, and Smallman is at center statues right now with 1:20 left. If you can hold off on this banana bread, there are a couple of decent suspects here that you would really love to have in conversation somewhere.
Thankfully, the double agent leaves conversations, so we can't contact anyway. Let's see what Amalbella looks for. stepping into the conversation with the double agent. We are going to start it up here.
Banana bread.
And the suspected double agent is by himself, so there's no other possibilities other than our conversation for a real.
Yeah, that's not really good. A number of people in conversation, but almost all of them were in conversations where banana bread didn't look right, didn't look real. So you have like 2 different conversations with 2 or 3 people in them, for example, that would have been fakes. So even though a lot of people in conversation, hard low light's not available, but also not anything to really cast a lot of suspicion on the people you want to be suspicious of.
Royal Flush still pretty suspicious of Small Man. Over to statues for our final inspect. Not swapping. Highlight does come through though. Now we have to find our last mission. We bumped the ambassador right at the end. We haven't bugged just yet, but Royal Flush seems to be staring us down. Watching that arm just in case a bug does come through. There it is. The attempt goes out. It fails. Royal Flush hasn't made a shot yet, which means that I don't think he's seen it. There's the actual bug with the cane right through. Overtime beep's going to come through, and I think we have to be the overtime shot. Yes, we are.
Yep, it's going to be him.
There it is. Shot does come through. Royal Flush keeps his composure about him, finds the shot.
Yeah, very well done. I think what happens there is, first of all, the banana bread doesn't really help frame anybody. It was just there were too many people where it looked like maybe they were a suspect, but it would have been a
Banana
fake
bread.
if they were, so it didn't increase suspicion on anyone. I also think this bug at the end might have worked if it had happened on entry into that conversation, because Royal Flush was not watching that closely during the entry, because check this out. There's a drink take from a highlight at the exact same second, just a little to the side. After that drink take, Royal Flush zooms in to watch for that bug. At that point, they're on it. But there was a little opening. I think if you do it smoothly while entering conversation, I think you get away with it.
Potentially. We'll never know, because we're off to courtyard. No time to wait to rest on the events of ballroom. You don't have time here in Summer Cup. It's just full speed ahead. Bling twin for Royal Flush. And 3, 2, 1, playing it. Courtyard.
Let's see if Royal Flush shares your enthusiasm for progress.
Courtyard's an interesting one. Trying to break the meta of Courtyard is very powerful.
Yes, yeah, it's so risky. We kind of talk about how some people think, for example, statue highlights are boring, but in some cases you can't really argue that they're the most effective means of tracking missions. That's kind of the same thing we have with Courtyard here, where you want to try to find creative ways to play it, but the problem is almost all the creative ways to play it are also ways that almost always reduce your likelihood of winning.
That's true. If they fail, you lose. If they succeed, maybe you win. Here's a bug on Small Man over his head. Clotheslined, and a highlight comes through.
That's pretty much what it looked like, almost more like a punch in the face than a bug. I don't think you want to put the bug on his forehead. I feel like that would get noticed pretty quick.
But you would get good sound, so I mean...
Yeah, give off a real good signal, yeah.
I feel like that's a pretty big highlight onto Royal Flush. Let's see what happens as he heads on to statues here.
It definitely is, and the fact that he was highlit and probably was being looked at, he's got to notice that in the conversation he ended up in, he did not hang around for long before going to statues. He's just bouncing around.
We do have a seduce done very quickly. 2 green tests. Double agent is just behind us. This is the moment of truth. How suspicious are you for this bug? It's very early to have seduce done. Maybe you want to wait for one more talk, but you don't have the time. 8 seconds. Shot has to come through. We're looking for low lights. It doesn't look like it's going to happen.
Oh, wow.
Royal Flush has got away with punching the ambassador in the head.
I think that's exactly what you said. It's just quick enough. I think getting the seduce done so early is what made that possible. Otherwise, you really, really want to wait for one more talk there. It just feels a little too quick.
Bam, take that. Not very nice, Royal Flush. We're in a...
Yeah. Had it coming, I guess, yeah.
I mean, I know that the SpyParty community isn't too into small man antics, but punching him in the head for it, wow.
Yeah,
that's taking it to a whole new level.
I didn't realize we were casting Street Fighter.
Wow, pretty impressive stuff. Amalbella's potentially kicking himself about not shooting, because you have to feel like, even to Amalbella, Bling Twin was the most suspicious character on the field of play. That's the kind of thing that can tilt you into later games, but you can't help be tilted here. It's not a long enough series to allow for that. Here we are, Courtyard, playing Queen in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
I mentioned earlier that one of the worst feelings is shooting and then seeing a screen pop up that showed basically no mission progress. Very close second, at least for me, is being 95% sure it's someone, trying to be careful and waiting, and then seeing the mission win screen pop up anyway.
Definitely my worst feeling as well. We join an instant conversation here, Track, watching our seduction target stare off into the courtyard. She joins the conversation, so maybe we make a move.
I think you have to decide pretty quick. It's early on. There's early statue visitors. You want to take note of them, but there's plenty of bustle going on. You don't have to worry about flirt pairing probably in general right now, but you definitely don't now with all this activity. Got to go get something done.
Here we go. She leaves. Maybe we do a loop-the-loop around the conversation. Nope. Blush highlights her on her way out, so that's, I guess, good for
Banana
us.
bread.
Contactor will just wipe her off the field, and oh boy, we are low-lighting for fakes as well.
Yeah, and it's correct, as it turns out, and Royal Flush, just like that, is in a dominating position.
5 lowlights, 2 highlights. Amalbella is not one of those highlights just yet. Only contact done so far, but due to the fact that we're at 1 minute 45 seconds and flirt hasn't been done, it's not like we have much time to complete that mission now. And we're stepping into statues first. Flirt's feeling like it's off the tables.
I think so, yeah. It's a really rough position to be in here where, you know, we mentioned the script of creative play. Not flirting on Courtyard's definitely creative play, but is it good play?
Potentially not when it's a forced scenario based on the timings that you have put yourself into. If you're going to hit any action test, though, at 1:16, it has to be a green on flirt.
Yeah, I was really surprised to see Amalbella go in there to try to flirt at all, but if you're going to, you're really just going to see, do I hit a 51 or not?
Attempts the bug. Doesn't quite connect, but Royal Flush doesn't react to it either. That connected, that could have been the game won in that one instance.
And if you can go in green one more flirt, you actually have a shot at this still.
Here it comes. Nice and cozy with our seduction target. It is a white test at 40 seconds, which means that we have to exit the conversation to reset the flirt timer. And I think we need to do a hard tell whilst we're at it. Bumping the ambassador. Oh, it's a 360 helicopter bug. Royal Flush will make sure that the takeoff goes smoothly. 4-0 in favor of Flush.
Clearly the error here was trying to bug someone 2 feet taller than you rather than 2 feet shorter. We all know that one works. It works if they're shorter than you, but when they're that much taller than you and your arm just sort of slams against their chest, not so much.
That's a real shame because this attempted bug earlier on, it didn't look half bad, and I don't think Flush saw the attempt either, so it was just a moment earlier, and if the ambassador didn't pop away from us as we reverse armed it, then that could have just been the game one there for Amalbella. Have to feel for them. The attempt wasn't half bad, it was just a moment too late. Heading on to library here. 4-0 in favor of the host. Royal Flush now playing as Salmon to kick off the second half of this series in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And a lot of options there late. Even with the at 85% flirt, you can go green swap and then finish the flirt while it's pending. You can maybe still time ad with 40 seconds left. You can green purloin into flirt. It's not ideal, but that green flirt you got did give you a couple of options.
Amber walks right past us. Royal Flush goes for the bug, taps the booty. Toby's there as well. I think Amalbella doesn't see it because we're marking books.
Well, obviously not prepared for a normal, basic bug, as you say, on the booty, as opposed to the clotheslines and punches to the gut we've been seeing the last couple games.
Flush looking for a flirt now. It's a 34% white test, stop talk. Nothing too special, but with the bug, we've got pretty good progress on library. Moving over towards the double agent here, maybe we want to split it up. A green test, we're going to split it as well. Oh, the low light's so tempting. How many are you going to take is the question, Bella. Looks like we take just the obvious ones. A lot of highlights converted into low lights, which is huge.
Yeah, that's the thing you're looking for. Hard lowlights followed by how many highlights got knocked down. So even though the actual total number of lowlights is definitely below average for library, they were high quality lowlights.
absolutely. Really good stuff. Flush is not playing slow, though. Every time we've basically flirted on the go, drive-bys, if you will. Here's our third flirt. It's done. 2 minutes, 19 seconds, 3 missions completed. Lots of progress on Library.
So do you want to be careful or do you want to rush it? If you go inspect swap, as long as you don't 3-cycle it, there's no way they're going to be waiting for it.
Looks like we're going side statues. A bit of a gold meta here, seeping through. 1 inspect, 2 inspects, and now what we can do is look for a second set of inspects at a different side statue, which would turn our inspect swap into a pretty strong move.
Especially with a tall character like this. And I think if you're going to do that, though, you want to do it now, where it's so early, they're not going to be looking for it, and even if they see the swap, they're not going to want to shoot for it right away.
The worst, Royal Flush loses a spy round. He's 4-0 up. Might as well play a rush here. About as quick as rushes get in competitive. There's the swap. Oh boy, it's a giant highlight. But I don't think we saw the swap actually in action. And it's just going to be a mission win countdown as Amalbella stares Salmon down.
There was a little opportunity here. He breaks an animation at the end, though. Look at that. He almost gives the entire game away after that swap.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's the swap. There's the slight animation break, which I believe happened on the other set of statues as well. Let's just watch that back.
So here's the thing. Obviously, the swap is seen, and as you say, super highlight. But a super highlight isn't a shot. A super highlight with 10 seconds left is just fine because you don't have to do anything else. Basically, did almost everything right that game until the end.
Yeah, it's also the Simba statue swap, as chat so rightly put out.
It was bad luck. It was bad luck that Amalbella got to see that so clearly. That almost could have induced a shot right there, even early in the game. You know, obviously we've seen rushes before. You don't count on them, but the statue, certainly the lift up there, the Simba, as you say, could have lost the game. Given that didn't happen, the only thing they had to do was put it down calmly. But still, with the statue break, so close.
Yeah, absolutely. Pretty tough stuff for Amalbella. Potentially that highlight was a super highlight. Just, you know, at 140, whatever it was, you're just waiting for one more thing, a contact or whatever it may be to... oh, we've already had contact, so you're not even waiting for that. I don't know what you're waiting for, Warning Track, but...
Well, you're waiting for how could they be done with Bug and Seduce and a bunch of other things I didn't catch. Right. As you say, you really want to wait for one more thing. If you get down to about a minute left, or less than a minute, or certainly last 30 seconds, at that point, you're on pins and needles, right? You're vibrating, waiting to shoot. So when someone goes to statues, if you get any hint that it's changed, off comes the shot. But any other time, you really want to wait for confirmation because you usually don't get a look at the fade on Library. So at best, even if you're totally on things, usually you've got it narrowed down to 2.
Well, here we go. Amalbella spying as Teal on Library. Currently 5-0 down. Flush has won the series, but here in the Summer Cup, due to the way point difference is calculated, any win you get is very valuable. That's why we play all 8 games in the series during group stages. Amalbella will want to try and get some points back out of the negative. Let's see if they can do it in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, another difference from SCL. Every game matters. You play all the way through. You don't stop when someone has won because it can still matter before we get to that single elimination bracket.
Straight into statues here. I don't know if Flush saw the statue. Definitely did attempt to by zooming in. Potentially gave up due to the fact that it's very difficult to see statues if you haven't clock them before people arrive at Library.
Huh. That's surprising.
Green swap.
Yeah, because now they're definitely going to see the statue, and there's a chance this is going to be down to a 50-50 on a 21-person party with 3 minutes left.
Banana bread.
If any player is going to swap it for you, you want General to do it. Very slow on these low lights. Maybe we don't even go for them at statues. And there's a suspected double agent next to it. You could expect a potential split. Circumstances have worked out pretty good for a green swap here.
Yeah, it's about as well as they could have given the decision. I don't like the decision. It could have been very, very bad. I think it mitigated slightly, but I'm a little surprised that we're not seeing more of a rush here.
Royal Flush hasn't clocked the swap just yet. There it is. Now we've seen it.
Did you see the double take on the sniper cam? There's definitely a little hitch. It comes into view on the side of on the side of the screen, and then sort of back to the left and snaps back to the right again. Like, wait a second, that's not what that was.
Whilst it's all happening, Amalbella's picking up flirts. Highlights coming out. Trying to remember who was there.
And misremembering it, low lights general.
Oh boy.
That's not good. The one person you might be able to frame for this swap is low lit.
We're hidden behind a pillar, so it's not even like we get a chance to be low lit either. Oh, he's kind of just moused over us. I don't know if that was intentional or if we're just doing some slow movement here. Oh boy.
Yeah. Wow. Take a look. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but take a look at literally nothing but the cursor movement in those last few seconds. It's so bizarre. I have never seen a sniper's cursor move this way before. It actually looks like you can see the gears turning in the head while they try to decide who on earth was at that statue. Look at this. It just sort of crawls along the screen. Just thinking about it, coming to a decision. That's what coming to a decision looks like in cursor, apparently. Wow.
Yeah, it's really rough for Amalbella for a little while there with the incorrect low lie onto general. But then I suppose karma has its way.
Well, so here's what it is. If you look at 218, you can see Pearls, the eventual shot taker, receiver, whatever you want to say, is next to the ambassador at Green Bookshelf. That's who Royal Flush is keeping on camera for the most part. They start to move over just a little bit to follow Pearls. Sort of hesitate once Pearls goes into the conversation. But I think she talks kind of quickly, too. Let me see. Insta-talks, yes. So already suspecting Pearls possibly for the swap, misremembering. Near the ambassador, kind of paths by them. Doesn't look like a bug, but maybe you're paranoid at that point. Keeps them on screen. Insta-talks, shot.
I'll do it for you. Amalbella picks up the first spy win of their series, the first spy win of the Summer Cup as well for them. Maybe they can do more. We're jumping over to Pub. The final map of the group stages is going to be Royal Flush spying first as Plane Twin. For Amalbella, of course, a sniper win here is going to be massive.
Yeah, every little bit helps. You'll take what you can get, certainly, and you really just want to kind of figure Royal Flush out at this point. Now, what I really like about that last game, before we move on, though, is so the swap is very counterintuitive, like the one we mentioned on Pub. We saw a crazy counterintuitive Pub swap earlier tonight, and that worked out perfectly. I think this actually worked for the same reason. A green swap doesn't really make sense there. And when the swap went off, people were at all three of those statues. And just that rush of people, I think you have to assume contributed to Royal Flush not remembering who was there.
Yeah, and Flush saying in chat as well that he tunneled on Pearl early, and so after the swap happened, felt like he had to shoot Pearl. Can't remember who did it. You've tunneled onto one character. You might as well shoot that character and have the success or the failure, as it were, happen sooner rather than later.
Sometimes you know you're not going to get away from a certain character, and when you really, really know it, that's when you shoot.
Fair play. Let's see what happens here. Amalbella sniping on Pub, Royal Flush spying in 3, 2, 1, playing it. Royal Flush. Are we going for a bug? We stop next to the Amber. We don't quite bug. Amalbella follows us, which means that Amalbella may be comfortable with the fact that we didn't bug. It all works out in the end.
I think so, but that path was very strange and suspicious. That sort of hitch step.
The ambassador leaves. We decide to leave as well. Seduction target's on the other side of the bar. Let's get that flirt done. Ooh, baby. Speedy Gonzalez. A highlight popped up.
Yeah, decides to flirt and then get out of there rather than wait and request and then do it.
Well. Oh boy. That's just a straight up white swap. Slam the statue back down. Get out of there quickly. Let's see how long it takes for Amalbella to notice the statue has been swapped.
I know we're 2 for 2 on counterintuitive swap timings. I'm going to guess this is going to end up being 2 for 3 once this camera moves to the left, though.
Banana bread.
Fake contact. Everyone is in a conversation apart from Walt and Salmon. Relatively
and they were not
good
sure.
Fake contact.
And not sure about Salmon because he was sort of behind the conversation. Whoa, what is this?
Did the double agent join the conversation late? We'll have to go back and watch it, but that's a lot of lowlights onto a conversation I thought was real.
Yeah, no, that it entered. Duke entered just after,
And
so
in the
he's
red.
assuming real. He's low lighting for fake.
Real contact. Royal Flush has been in both those combos. We haven't actually rotated around to see the swap. And it looks like Royal Flush has done it. Crazily enough on pub. Finds the spy win.
I'm totally wrong. 3 for 3. I don't think that swap ever came into view. I don't think that was ever on sniper cam after the swap. Not once.
Banana bread.
Yeah, there it is. The contact. Duke is just a little while out. Does join it eventually. Amalbella, a very correct but potentially desperate decision to go for all those lowlights into that conversation.
I mean, it's just a failure to rotate. You have to check the statue. I understand that people don't usually swap, but you have to go to the left just to see. And even if not for that reason, there are people pathing near the Amba on the left side throughout this game occasionally. You'd think you'd rotate just to see them and check the statue while you're at it. And by the way, only 2 people went to statues all game. One of them was Walt, who was out of conversation for the banana bread and was low lit. So if you do see that swap, you're going to have no confusion about who did it because you're highlighting for statues.
Yeah, I just scrolled back to see if it was a Venus into head, but no, it was a Falcon into head. So, you know, if it was a Venus into head, maybe you kind of think, okay, yeah, maybe you just mismemorize the statue.
Right.
But Falcon into head, I don't feel there's much way to mismemorize that due to the shape.
And I am wrong. The statue is very briefly on screen at around 2:06, I think, but clearly not really being looked at. Basically, just not assuming it could happen. And I understand why, but it's one of those things you have to do. You just have to keep them honest. You have to keep checking these things, no matter how counterintuitive it seems.
Well, what we've learned tonight here, Track, is that swapping on pub is bloody good.
It's really good. Clearly underutilized. This is the new meta. It's going to bounce back. We're going to have too many swaps on pub before long, I'm sure. We're also learning that Royal Flush is pretty aggressive and likes to rush missions. And if you're Amalbella, you've seen this twice now. They've both been with swaps. One on library, one on pub. You really can't let it bite you a third time.
Unfortunately, there's no more sniper rounds available for Amalbella. Just has to be experience gathered, and pretty good experience at that. You know, when you're in Challenger playing against a gold tier player, lots of good experience gathered there for Amalbella. Lots of games left in the group as well. Now for Amalbella, it's time to try and find that last spy win to exit the series with a little bit of dignity. Let's see if we can do it as Irish in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And as I mentioned, Royal Flush has been competitive high up in some of these earlier Summer Cups and obviously is in gold. Even struggling in gold, you're still in gold. Royal Flush definitely capable of some high-level play. And these have been very smart, calculated rushes for the most part. It's one thing, sometimes we'll see those people do those counterintuitive swaps, and then they'll sort of slow play afterwards, which is exactly the wrong thing. Royal Flush, at least, certainly a good enough player to know to lean into the early suspicion they're bringing upon themselves.
Amalbella just starts off with an early flirt here. We're going to go get our second one in just a second, but not before we step over towards the statue here. Could this be another swap on pub?
I can't take it. Please, no more. I think we've used our quota and then some.
Amalbella hears your cries, puts it back. It's all good. We attempt bug. It connects. Flush has not rotated once. That is a free bug.
Invisible.
And a low light over towards Kane. Not even a highlight towards Irish for the possibility of coming from a statue
Banana bread.
and bugging. Here comes a fake banana bread. Relatively good. We've got 3 people in real conversations. None of them have been to statues.
Why do that? Yeah, why do that?
Maybe you think you're more suspicious than you really are, but if you're playing a game of statistics, your conversation surely is the one with this. Oh, okay.
Wow. Yeah, but you're right. You assume you have an SDA in that conversation. So it's the logic is wrong, and yet it works beautifully.
I mean, Royal Flush, from what I've gathered, loves to low light for fake BBs. But
Yeah,
there's
very
just
aggressive.
no way that you would know that yours is the fake.
No, there's no way, and you're not covering for anything there either. You're not trying to frame anyone, nothing like that.
On different maps, I would argue that maybe you've been watching the party long enough that you know who the suspected double agent is. I just doubt
Right.
it here on pub.
Right. So here's the really crazy thing. If Amalbella does complete with banana bread, Royal Flush is going to have that horrible moment where you hear the second one and you realize you might have made a terrible mistake with the first.
Here it
Banana
comes.
bread.
Green test. Lots of lowlights available, but that's not what you want. It's a mission countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Amalbella with the spy win on pub takes the series to a close, 6-2 in favor of Royal Flush.
So we get 2 spy wins on pub, and both of them for basically the exact same reason, is camera positioning. It's an underrated, it's a boring part of a sniper's game. You know, we love to say, wow, he caught that out of the corner of his eye. Wow, he zoomed in at just the right time. He's got good party awareness, gets good low lights, catches time ads. Those are all the flashy things a sniper does. The boring nuts and bolts thing that makes you able to catch things like good bugs is positioning your camera before they happen because they might happen. Or literally just the boring act of rotating to check statues every so often, every 5, 6, 10 seconds, whatever it is. That is boring stuff, but that's what puts you in position to catch those things. And we see the importance of both in these 2 pub games where both spies win it because the sniper didn't look at the thing they needed to be looking at.
Not to mention, there's really no reason for Royal Flush not to be looking at that spot. He's watched Irish path to statues right in front of his eyes and hasn't rotated to check, are you at statues? And then after the statue visit is done, never rotates when the ambassador comes around, and that's the moment when I feel like you just have to check because you know someone's over there, or you should know at least. And just free bug.
I have tremendous empathy. I'm not going to criticize anyone, for example, guest list and missing a bug, right? That's the nature of the game, is the trade-off in attention. But when something suspicious happens and you're not in a position to see it, and there's not really anything else going on vying for your attention, then that's just an unforced error.
I'll never know why Amalbella did a fake contact here. Was it attempt at a flirt, maybe?
Misclick makes more sense to me than anything else because, as you mentioned,
you flirted and then you've done contact, so no, I don't think it can be.
No, so the numbers suggest that you have an SDA with you, right? So you're exactly right. Even if you're worried you're suspicious for the bug, there's no reason to think that fake BD is going to reduce suspicion on you. It turns out, though, somehow there wasn't an SDA in there, and it works beautifully.
Absolutely crazy stuff. Amalbella getting those 2 extra points definitely helps the point differential. If we throw it back to the list of tonight's games to close out today, we can kind of talk about that group just a little bit more because it's a pretty tough one for Amalbella, sitting in a group with Catnip from Bronze, Ryu, an up-and-coming Challenger player. Amalbella did pretty well, finishing pretty high up in Challenger, but you know, you've got some pretty scary latecomers to the league that you have to deal with as well. That's not an easy group to be in, Group H. That was a pretty fun broadcast track, I think.
It was, yeah. And I think we still see some clear skill tiers here. You know, we still saw, Nonetheless and Yeesh play very, very strong games. I think what we're seeing here is that, while there are some really, really strong players here throughout the Summer Cup, the new players are not going to make it easy on them. Even when the scores were lopsided, a lot of the individual games were pretty hard fought, and it didn't feel like the newer players lost them very often. Usually they were just beaten by slightly, better players. It was very well played, I'd say, across the board, with those last few handful of sniper games accepted when we talked about camera rotation. That's actually why those stand out so much, is that we weren't saying things like that very often tonight. They were well-played games, but it's still a very high skill curve game, and you could still see the difference tonight between the more experienced players like Yeesh and Nonetheless. They are going to be a force to be reckoned with, and it'll be really fun the rest of the season doing these casts, trying to see if 1 or 2 of those newer players can make that leap and cause a little trouble in the bracket.
Definitely. So Yeesh finishes off 6-2 against DBD. Nonetheless 5-3 after BRS Kayla brings it back with 3 wins in a row at the end of the series. And then obviously we just saw a Bears competitive debut against Belial, a tie party at 4-4, very entertaining, and Royal Flush, very dominant game against Amalbella. That's 4 of the potential 16 Week 1 Summer Cup games broadcasted. Hope you guys did enjoy it. Do apologize for the late notice that this broadcast was going live. very much a last-minute thrown together ditch effort, but one that I think we will continue. I certainly have interest in doing so, and I know there's a bunch of other people who put their hands up to volunteer to bring some of these games to your screens as well. So make sure you hit the follow button for SpyParty if you want to watch competitive SpyParty games. There's obviously going to be some Summer Cup games during the week. On the weekend, you should still have your usual SpyParty Competitive League broadcasts. And then in between, you can find myself and Morning Track doing various different things. I stream to my channel at DowsyGG. Morning Track sometimes streams.
Not often enough, I admit, but when I'm not streaming, I'm posting silly memes and occasionally even actual analysis on SpyPartyFans.com.
Definitely go check it out. And of course, thank you very much to Royal Flush for once more setting up the Summer Cup. It's a lot of fun as a new player to SpyParty. Very excited to be playing it out. And of course, the Summer Cup featuring a prize pool as well, brought to you by Crazy Kaylee and BRS Scaler as well. And of course, Jigsaw House, Royal Flush's game, which he's currently in development and would love if you checked out. So make sure you go check that out as well. I think that's about it for tonight. Thank you very much for tuning in, guys, and stay tuned in Discord and other places for announcements of more Summer Cup game broadcasts in the future. I've been Dowsy, and on behalf of Warning Track, we bid you all good night.